Yo, what's up? Welcome inside Opening Line. Corey and Benny coming at you on a Friday. Benny, this is like the final day where we don't have big-time major football. So we are right back into the kick of it football season, definitely back into the swing. Dress rehearsal going down this weekend. We got Florida and Miami playing in the first big game of the college football season. And life is good, Benny. You know what I'm saying? And
I love baseball as much as the next guy, but it's a 5-month grind that we've been going on with another month left to go. It's nice to see football coming up on the horizon, something a little different, which is always good.
No doubt, you know what I'm saying? Looking forward to getting into this weekend, getting it started. I know a lot of you cats got drafts going down this weekend, Benny. I want to start with the Cam Newton thing. We saw him leave the game last night. Saw him leave the stadium in a walking boot also. The guys that I talked to, Dr. A and those cats like that, I saw some of their tweets last night. They don't think it's anything that expects to be serious. As serious as it can get right here, it would be a Lisfranc injury. But there's a lot of people that think that this kid they drafted last year, Will Grier from West Virginia, could step in and do well. Cam Newton's been to the Super Bowl and won an MVP before, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I'm not worried about the Cam situation right now.
Yeah, I'm not either. Everything that I was reading this morning is that he's going to be fine, and this is no big deal. He wasn't going to play next week anyway, as most starters don't play in the last preseason game. So I'm not going to overreact to this right now. The other part of that, though, the Will Grier thing, I do think this kid's got a big arm, and he could have a future, but let's not kid ourselves, right? Like, if Cam Newton's not there, it's definitely going to be a downgrade to everybody on that Carolina offense. It's not going to help anyone.
No, you can't. Like I said, I think Will Grier has a bright future also, but, let's tap the brakes a little bit on this one. One thing I will say about the Carolina Panthers is their offensive line looks terrible.
Their offensive line always kind of looks terrible, though. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that's, it kind of is not the strength of that team. I mean, listen, they have a lot of very talented skill position players on the outside with guys like Samuels and DJ Moore. Then, you got C-Mac in the backfield. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this offense. If they can keep a quarterback upright throughout this season, they're going to put up a lot of points and they're going to put up a lot of big numbers, as a lot of people in fantasy think they will. I mean, all these guys that we just mentioned, they're guys that are being drafted and being drafted pretty highly. So, you got to kind of like the outlook for this offense as long as Cam is able to stay healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, CMC, one of the top guys going off draft boards and so on and so forth. Now, we got some stuff going down tonight as far as the preseason goes. Last night also looked like it was a good night for one Mr. Darius Geis, which is terrible because I just wrote up Adrian Peterson yesterday for The Athletic. And, of course, Darius Geis goes off. Well, not goes off, but he shows that he probably is, as long as he's healthy, he can be a big piece in this offense. Now, what I will say is I still like Peterson. I like Peterson where he's going to as opposed to where Geis is going. So I'll give you that. But Geis looked good last night, Benny.
No, he did. But you actually mentioned something that I wanted to talk about here today too. Adrian Peterson is still listed as the starter for this team.
Yep.
And everything that I'm hearing is that Adrian Peterson is going to be the starter the first week of the season. What Darius Geis basically has done, though, is he's made it a backfield by committee. He played well enough that the two of these guys are going to split snaps, which really kind of hurts both of them in terms of fantasy value, right? The difference, though, between Peterson and Geis, which is what you were just mentioning, is, Geis is going ADP like 90-ish or so. So, I mean, you're talking like an 8th-round pick.
He'll get a boost this weekend, too.
And that's fine. I'm still not going to take any of him, even if he does. Adrian Peterson's going a couple rounds later at this point. To me, it looks like, at least for the beginning of the season, Geis is going to be the change of pace back. I think he does eventually take over the role. But remember, we also need this kid to stay healthy because that has always been the knock on him coming out of college, then obviously right when he went into college. Right when he went into the pros where he got hurt, basically before he even went out there and played a snap. So do I think he's talented? Yes. Do I think he's being overdrafted? Absolutely. And if he's going to be drafted even higher because of this game, you know what? If he has a big season, I'll tip my hat to everybody else that has him, but he's not going to make my fantasy.
I will do the same, you know what I'm saying? As I wrote about it yesterday, dropped this morning over at The Athletic. So there goes that right there. What else, Benny? Something else I wanted to talk about from last night. A couple things that went down. We got into that. The Falcons look about the same. The kid Quadri Allison, he played 20 snaps last night. You know what I mean? So that was a good look for him. You know what I mean? He caught the ball, ran the ball well. So it looks like they're still battling to see who's going to be this Devontae Freeman backup. I think when it's all said and done, all of them are going to be Devontae Freeman's backup.
Yeah, the guy who I think has the most value is Brian Hill. And
I agree with you on that. Yep.
And the reason for it is, Devonta Freeman is not really since he's kind of a brittle guy anyway, he's not somebody you really want to see taking a pounding. Brian Hill is the guy who could wind up being a goal line back there, Corey.
Yeah.
So he's going to vulture some touchdowns early and be the guy who's likely to get, more work if something does happen to Freeman. Because let's face it, I mean, Freeman has been hurt basically every year at this point. Brian Hill is the guy that I think has the most value in the backfield for Atlanta outside of Devonta Freeman, who I obviously think is easily the number one there.
Yeah, I was going through the game mix last night and going through the wheel round. I actually caught some Devonta Freeman runs. Mm-hmm. He looked like he's well rested, Benny. Put it like that.
The thing, when he's healthy, he's a hell of a player. Like, it's never been a question, Yeah. The question has always been durability. Like, that's why people always like, well, why doesn't he get more of the workload? There was a reason why him and Tevin Coleman basically split the workload. It's because they were worried about him getting hurt,
Freeman likes to drop that shoulder and run into people. He runs with a certain rage that his body frame doesn't quite add up to. But Dade County don't run out of bounds, Benny, and that's just how Devontae Freeman said he's going to play it. So there you go right there. One thing I do want to say, Jordan Reed, another concussion last night, Benny. I would at this point, I would take him off my draft boards. If they was to throw him back out there by week 1 after he's probably had double-digit concussions, it would be a bad look by DC. Mm-hmm. If he does get back on the field this year, Benny, I think he should retire.
I mean, I think he will get back on the field. This was his 7th documented concussion. That doesn't mean he hasn't had more than that. That means that he's legit had 7 documented that they, put him in a concussion protocol for, which is quite a lot. And the thing about concussions that a lot of people, who study this know, it's one of those things that, the more you have, the more you get. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, so it's something that could keep happening to him. I said, listen, anybody who drafted Jordan Reed, you drafted him knowing you're not going to get a full 16 games out of him because you never do. So is there going to be some times this year where Jordan Reed could be healthy and have a couple big games? Yeah, he's a very talented guy when he's able to be out there. The problem is he's very rarely able to be out there. So, Vernon Davis still there with them, another tight end who will probably wind up benefiting. So Vernon Davis could be somebody that now sneaks in as a 17th, 18th, 20th round pick in your drafts. But yeah, Jordan Reed for me is a guy who I have a decent amount of exposure at this point to him. And again, it wasn't like I invested heavily.
You didn't pay anything for him, though.
Yeah, so I don't really mind that, but I definitely don't want to add any more, especially not to my best balls, going forward. So I agree with you. I think he's kind of off my draft sheet right now.
Yeah, that's how I would carry it. What else did we see last night? I'll be honest with you, Benny. The New York Giants offense does not look as bad as I thought it was going to look. Daniel Jones throwing the football well. These young and upcoming wide receiver core, they look like they're getting open well. The offensive line is playing better than I've seen them play in years. They don't look like a joke at this point right now.
Yeah, they're still a joke.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer the caution.
So did you see the picture that's making its way around Twitter?
That picture is wild. That's a great picture, though, but that's wild, right?
Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a picture last night of, literally 25, 30 reporters standing around Daniel Jones interviewing him after the game. And his locker is right next to Eli Manning's locker. And Eli's there putting his shoes on and getting dressed and all that with not a single person asking him a question. So, I think the caption to the photo was actually, reporters talk to Giants star quarterback while, other guy gets changed next to him or something like that. Like it was a pretty damning photograph. So I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming weeks. But listen, Corey, you and I both live in the area. We have a lot of friends that are Giants fans.
You can't really see it because of the light, where the light is shining. But as soon as I open up my phone, the photo popped right up, Benny.
Yeah, if you go to my Twitter right now, I just retweeted it. So it's probably at the top of my Twitter feed right now too. But you and I both live in the New York area, Corey.
Yeah.
We have more than half the people I know, I feel like, are Giants fans. I feel like there's more Giant fans than Jet fans around here.
It is.
How many of those Giant fans, though, would rather see Eli Manning than Daniel Jones? Because all the ones I know are waiting for Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh man, it's Daniel Jones. No one cares about Eli at this point.
No,
except for John Mara, apparently.
Well, the guy who write the check care about Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying? Which is good for Eli Manning. How about that? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, nah, Benny, it's a done deal. You know what I'm saying? It'll be interesting to see how deep he lasts into the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets out the way at some point and just like, you know what, let the kid go ahead and take it, especially if they get off to a slow start, the offense. They're going to be clamoring for it. Or you think he's too prideful, Benny?
Hell yeah. This is a guy who forced a trade from San Diego to New York before he even played a game.
That's true.
I don't think – I mean, this is a guy who – remember when they put who's the old Jet quarterback that went to the Giants and that they put him in that 1 week? The kid from West Virginia.
Geno
I
Smith.
can't think of his name right now.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. Remember when they gave Geno Smith the start instead that 1 week and the big hubbub and everything that went on behind the scenes? That was all, you know, Eli and Eli's camp and all that stuff making a big deal about that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they try to keep it out of the spotlight. But, the Mannings are shady, bro. The Mannings are –
You don't become that kind of powerful football family for nothing.
Yeah, and they have no problem using it in those situations. And they try to make it like, oh, well, all shucks, it wasn't us that did anything. It was – the stink that he put up is the reason that, Geno Smith, that whole situation lasted 1 week and then went back to the other way. I don't know, man. I don't think Eli Manning's a very good quarterback. I never thought Eli Manning was a very good quarterback.
He's had two good runs, Benny. That's it. Other than that, in 2007, they was getting ready to get – in 2007, they was like, we made a mistake with this guy. Then he went on that run. And Eli Manning has had years, but he's thrown 20 interceptions. So
think about that, though, man. It's like because his defense helped carry him to a Super Bowl and got him a ring, they've paid him over $100 million in the last 5 years when he didn't deserve any of it.
He has some memorable moments, the David Tyree throw, the Mario Manningham throw, the pass to Plexico Burris. But you look at some of the contributors along the way, particularly to that defense, the playmaking ability of Victor Cruz. You know what I'm saying? He's had a lot of help along the way, but he's the quarterback and he's the big Manning boy, so he got it done.
If his last name was Leaf, he wouldn't be in the league right now.
No, God, no. No, you're right, Benny. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Again, if his last name wasn't Manning, he wouldn't be in the league right now.
Baltimore Ravens and Philadelphia Eagles actually got canceled last night, so if you laid it down on that one, if you were on the Baltimore side, you're pretty upset. If you were on the Eagles side, you luckily got your money back.
Some of the sites actually did pay out on it, but just so people know, because this is something that may happen again at some point in the season, 55 minutes is what the standard for most sports books is. If the game doesn't go at least 55 minutes, it becomes a void bet game. And it doesn't matter if you're winning, if you're losing. It doesn't matter. Like, I think last night people were pissed because the over already hit, but because it didn't go 55 minutes, they didn't pay out. That's the rules, and it's the rules and the terms and conditions of almost every single sports book that you're going to play at. So just keep that in mind. If there's another game, and again, during the regular season, it takes a lot more for them to call a game.
We're not going to call, you know what I'm saying, the game in the regular season, obviously, so much at stake. This over the course of the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot of promotions popping up, sports books trying to get customers in, you know what I'm saying, with different kind of promotions and stuff like that. And I saw an interesting one on FanDuel, and I get back to the NFL for tomorrow's game with Florida and Miami. A $50, and I think it was they would stake up to $50 on a money line bet, right?
Okay.
$50 money line bet, right? If the team loses by 6 or less, the bet wins.
So $50 money line bet.
Let me read exactly how it is. I'm gonna go to it because me and my brother-in-law were trying to figure out what the rub was and what the angle was. It probably really isn't any.
Well, you know what it is? Seven's the key number, right? In football, seven's a key number. And the spread on the game,
the point spread is 7.
It's 7.5. Oh, is it down to 7? It was 7.5 yesterday.
It dropped to 7 this morning.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what they're thinking is, it's not like in baseball, every run is one run. In basketball, every basket is 2 or 3 or, whatever. in football, like 3, 7, 4, those are key numbers because when you add them up at the end, those are numbers that tend to come out there. I really honestly think that Florida is going to roll them tomorrow anyway, so I don't think it's going to make –
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing they're thinking too. Is like, well,
this game will at least push. Put it like that. At 7, it will at least push. But the Hurricanes are not going to win this game.
Well, basically, from everything that I'm looking at and reading so far about this game, like I guess Miami has a young quarterback coming in.
Miami hasn't had a quarterback since Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, you're not going to take a team in the first week of the season that has no quarterback because you don't expect them to score points, especially when they're going up against a team like Florida, who you do expect to score some points and who has a pretty good defense and all that stuff. So for me, Florida's the bet in this game, and I mean, really, the $50 doesn't make a difference. I'd rather take Florida. I think I'd rather take Florida -7 than take Florida -300, and if they lose by 6, I get the bonus. You know what I'm saying?
100%. So if you're on Miami, it's a good bet for you because you can hit it twice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes and no, because again, if it's 7.5 or 7, that's the likelier number that it's going to end. Really, what's the chances that the game ends with them losing by 6?
Exactly.
So again, you're still better off. You do get a better payout because Miami's probably like +200 or so.
Yeah.
So basically, what they're doing. Here's exactly why they're doing it, Corey.
They're not paying out. They're giving you your money back.
Yeah, I'll tell you why they're doing this. They're doing this because they probably have a lopsided number of bets coming in on Florida already. Yeah. So they're trying to get some money on the Miami side to kind of balance the whole thing out. That's why they're doing it. If you think about it, when you sit down and you think about it, there's always a reason why they offer some of these bonuses.
Yeah.
And it usually has something to do with them balancing their book a little more. Because remember, the book doesn't care who wins. The book wins when they have the same amount of money bet on both sides of it because they're taking a little bit of rake out of it. So if they could get $1 million on one team and $1 million on the other team, the book wins. And, half the bettors are going to win, but the book always wins. And that's the thing. So they're just trying to even out their book right now is what they're probably doing.
Philadelphia Eagles last night, Benny. We got a good game from Mr. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. That should be going off draft boards this weekend.
I was going to say that. I know you've been high on this kid. What do you have, 8 catches, 109 yards, and a TD or something like that?
He balled out last night with Josh McCown. Josh McCown get off the bench dropping dimes.
I love that guy, man. He was the Jet quarterback for a little while. I did, man. I loved him. He was honestly, he might be my favorite Jet quarterback in the last 10 years.
He did good with that. He almost took y'all to the playoffs.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like – and the thing is, too, like, he was a good locker room guy. Like, he was good in his interviews. He's humble. Like, Josh McCown's a good dude. He's going to end up – I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to end up as a head coach or an offensive coordinator somewhere.
I can see that happening.
Very good football mind. Like, knows how to do it. Is a good players guy. Like, all the guys in the locker room with the Jets loved him. Like, Josh McCown's going to end up – and then he was the guy who kind of mentored Sam Darnold. Like, he was basically the guy last year who was kind of bringing the kid along. So he's going to end up – he'll start out as a quarterback coach. He'll get an OC job somewhere, and he's going to end up being a head coach. And I think he'll be good because he really knows the game.
Be interesting to look back through his career and see what coaches have coached him. That's normally a good sign, too, of if you can be a successful coach. You know what I'm saying? This kid, this Brian Flores, I need to look some more into his background. This thing he did with Kenny Stills, I think, was a chump move. You know what I'm saying? But now he's trying to talk his way out of it. But before I can comment on that, I want to read some more about him. I believe he's an Upper Manhattan guy. So I want to check out his story a little bit. But he comes from a good tree when you come up under Bill Belichick. Ravens didn't show much last night. DC, we already talked about the Falcons thing too. So really the big story last night was the Cam Newton thing and, of course, the shenanigans in Winnipeg with the shortened field. But the Raiders took out the Packers 22-21. The Dolphins beat up on the Jaguars 22-7. D.D. Westbrook, Benny, is a name that's gaining some steam.
As it really should be. I mean, the other thing that we had yesterday, DJ Shark came down with a concussion for them.
That's right. He sure did. You're right about that.
So that's definitely going to help the Chris Conley love and should also help the D.D. Westbrook. Westbrook is clearly the number 1 wide receiver there.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you 100% on that. Oh, speaking of the Chris Conley thing, I started the beat writer survey.
Hold on, I'll be right back. Hold on.
No doubt. So was holding it down for Benny as he comes right back. But one of my duties over at The Athletic, where I do a little bit of work, is doing this beat writer survey. and basically, you get up, you take all the athletics guys that come up with specific NFL teams, and I get to ask them a question, kind of like a question a week. And now this is stuff is behind the paywall, but if we be quiet about it, since we're friends, you know what I'm saying? I can tell you a little bit and give you a little couple of nuggets of what's going on, right? You know what I'm saying, Benny?
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm in.
All right, so I can't give you everything, but what I will tell you is let's go Chicago Bears.
Okay.
They think that Taylor Gabriel is being overlooked, particularly by the fantasy community, right?
They're not wrong because he's going undrafted in some of these leagues. He went undrafted in my Scott Fish Bowl.
There you go. It may take some time before Anthony Miller is that breakout player everyone is expecting because of his current ankle injury. Too often, Gabriel got stuffed on wide receiver screens in 2018, but he should be more efficient in 2019. Still no better than a wide receiver 3 or flex player, but he's got some sleeper potential, especially if Mitch Trubisky improves his deep ball. That is the Chicago Bears beat writer talking about Taylor Gabriel. I think $1 make you holler on Taylor Gabriel or a guy to watch off the waiver wire is not a bad idea, Benny.
Yeah, at the very least, you should be putting him on your watch list. He's somebody that you can get. Like I said, he's basically free if he's even getting drafted. He's going late round if he's even getting drafted. So, when you get down to those last couple rounds and you're looking at guys and you're saying, well, who could have any kind of positive impact on my team this year? This is a guy that you might want to look at. Again, he's not going to be an every week starter for you. He's not going to put up 25, 30 fantasy points a game. But if he has a couple good games where he gets you 12 or 15 when you need him in a bye week, that's a useful player that you're getting,
A certain Detroit Lion running back should have about at least 250 carries, but should touch the ball over 300 times as he looks to get some love in the passing game also. I'm not going to say no names, wink, wink, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we talked about this as soon as the Theo Riddick move was made, right? Like, the thing that was kind of holding back Kerryon Johnson's fantasy value a little bit was that we figured Theo Riddick was going to get all the third down work. As soon as you get rid of Theo Riddick and say, hey, now some of this is going to go to Kerryon Johnson. I mean, Corey, simple math, right? 300 touches, 16 games a year. You're talking just shy of 20 touches a game. We talked about last week that this guy's been flying up draft boards. You were able to get him in the 4th round early in draft season. Then he moved up to the 3rd. Now he's pretty much firmly in the 2nd, and I don't think it's crazy on those kind of projections.
That right there solidify, in my opinion, that right there solidifies a 2nd round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? 250 is a good number, and when you're going to be, and that was carries alone. Let me see. How can I spin this one right here? MVS is probably the guy. If you're choosing, that's the guy you might want to be more looking a little bit deeper at. In Green Bay is MVS, which I found that to be interesting, Benny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on Geronimo Allison. That's perfectly fine. I'll take the slot receiver guy over there. I have no problem with that. I love Geronimo Allison. If I'm wrong on it, then I'm wrong on it. But I will say this. The guy who was their 4th wide receiver, Equanimous St. Brown, had an injury last night as well, which only makes it a little bit of a better situation for the guys above him, meaning, Geronimo Allison and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because now they have one less guy to worry about footsteps behind them. Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. He's going to get his one way or another. So really we're trying to figure out who that number 2 is going to be in what tends to be a high pass offense with, Aaron Rodgers pulling the trigger.
T.Y. Hilton has been undoubtedly the best player on the football field for the Indianapolis Colts in the training camp. He looks otherworldly right now. T.Y. Hilton, nothing's,
Yeah, I mean, the sky is blue, water's wet. We got to pay taxes. What else? What else you want to say? T.Y. Hilton on the turf is ridiculous. So as long as they're over there in Indianapolis on the turf, he always looks amazing. I mean, he's a very good player. He's being drafted 2nd, 3rd round. That's where he should be going. One of the top wide receivers. I got to be honest. I am still a little worried about the luck thing.
They are.
they as they should be. I mean, the guy still hasn't played with 2 weeks away from the season at this point. So definitely something to worry about. But I think Ty is going to be fine. I'm not gonna overreact to it. He's a very talented wide receiver.
As far as the situation with the Rams and their running back, I'll put it like this, Benny. How was Kawhi Leonard for fantasy last year? Well, this past season in Toronto.
He was on a lot of GPP and he was on a lot of tournament winning lineups and was always a good cash game play when he was in the lineup. Again, for daily, I play more daily than season long. I don't think anybody really plays.
No.
Does anybody even play season long NBA? Like season long NBA is not really a thing.
I know, like Rollins play, Frank Stanfield play.
But they play together in the same league. Like that's what I'm saying. There's like one league. There's like one big league that if you're not involved in that, you're probably not a serious, season long NBA player. But I mean, for daily, he was fine because, he was, the days he was playing, you played him. The days he was sitting, you played all the other guys, figuring that their, usage was going to go up because he wasn't out there on the floor. So for daily, it wasn't a big deal. But for season long, I could see how it would be a pain in the butt. I'm assuming that you're drawing the same parallel with Todd Gurley here, right?
Yep.
Again, for daily in the good matchups when he's going to be the guy, that's great. In season long, it might have been a little bit more of a headache. Like I said, I don't really play much season long NBA basketball. There's no money in it, not enough interest.
No doubt.
But for football, it'll be a little bit tougher, man. I mean,
I guess because it's one game a week. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like he's going to be sitting. He's just going to be limited. You know what I'm saying?
I would say
not the knee. The issue is they want him healthy in December and January.
Yeah, I would say it this way, Corey. It probably means in best ball you can move him up a little bit, and in places where you have to set a weekly roster, you may want to kind of take him down a little.
He's an RB2. He's an RB2.
100%, I agree.
If you can start Zeke Gurley, if you can start Chubb Gurley, something like that, that's the best bet. To put Gurley in as your RB1 and then go wide receivers, that's a mistake right there.
All right, so I'm in a draft the other night. Last night, as a matter of fact, the draft last night, Zeke falls to number 8. And then on the way back, the guy grabs Gurley.
That's brilliant.
He has Zeke Gurley as his running back pairing right now, which are basically the two of the top 3 running backs, I think, from last season right there. So pretty crazy how Zeke is falling because of the holdout thing and Gurley's falling because of this. If they do 90% of what they've done in the past couple seasons, that guy's got a hell of a team right now.
It's my pick in draft. I finally got into the draft thing. Oh, and look at them, Kerryon Johnson. All right, so now how do you select them?
You doing it on the app or you doing it on a computer?
Doing it on the app.
Yeah, I haven't done it on the app. The computer, it's a lot easier on a computer to do those drafts.
All right, so cool. That's done now.
So you finally fell down the draft rabbit hole too, huh?
Huh?
You finally fell down the draft.com rabbit hole too, huh?
You got me, Benny.
Yo, it's honestly, they're addictive, man. You start doing those best balls, 18 rounds. That takes a little over an hour. Next thing you know, you did like 5 of them, and it's 2 a.m, and you're like, "What the hell am I doing with my life?" But it's happened to me plenty of nights in the last month.
All right, baby, there you go. So Alvin Kamara, Kerryon Johnson, T.Y. Hilton from 1-1. Load management is what you're going to get from Chubb. I mean, not Chubb, from Gurley. They're like it's not his knee. It's the fact that they want him ready to rock down the stretch. And that makes sense because they think they have Super Bowl aspirations, which I disagree with. What else we got? Oh, Alexander Madison. They like him a lot in Minnesota.
Okay, I don't know much about him, so go ahead. I'll let you break it down.
They like him. He's a running back.
Okay.
He is basically a handcuff. He could also be a goal line vulture too, though.
The goal line vulture thing would make him interesting for me. I like handcuffs who are also goal line vultures because at least they have some value. And then, obviously if the injury happens to the guy ahead of them, then they get a lot of value. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like I'm wasting a pick just taking a guy hoping somebody gets hurt. And that's the same reason why I was talking about Brian Hill. Like Brian Hill's the same way for Atlanta. If Brian Hill ends up as the goal line back, which there is talk that he could, then he's going to have value for you because he could score some touchdowns, and he has value that if Freeman gets hurt, he gets a bigger role. So guys like that are worth picks late in drafts, especially when, they're guys that are probably going undrafted.
This one's for you, Benny, then I'll hop out of this. Vance McDonald is not going to be on the field.
Yeah, I saw that too. Bullshit. What are you going to do? You're going to play Xavier Grimble 55% of snaps right now? Get the hell out of here.
Let me read it to you.
Go ahead.
I'll give you word for
word. I know the quote. I read it, but go ahead.
I give you word for word on this one, depending on what you view as a big season. If you're happy with McDonald's numbers last year, 50 catches, 610, 4 touchdowns, then you'll be happy this year. Even though it may seem like a no-brainer that his numbers will increase this year significantly because of the lack of established targets for Roethlisberger, that might not be the case. Our offensive coordinator insists that McDonald's snap count will not dramatically increase from 564 from a year ago. That's likely because the lack of depth at the position is so concerning, they don't want to risk injury, something that McDaniel has battled over his career. So basically, this is the same thing as Kawhi Leonard, Benny. It's load management.
Okay, but here's what – again, if you're not trying to risk injury with the guy and you're not going to give him the snaps, it's the same thing that I was saying with Todd Gurley, right? If you're going to – what you're basically saying is Vance McDonald's going to play passing downs and we're going to bring somebody else in there to block. Basically. Which is the same thing that they're saying with Todd Gurley is like, Gurley's still going to get the same amount of touches, but he's not going to get the same amount of snaps. So really what you're saying is you're going to increase his offensive role. You're just not going to have him on the field for every play, which I'm fine with because I don't care about Vance McDonald blocking. Vance McDonald blocking doesn't get me fantasy points. Vance McDonald catching passes does. And last year, Jesse James caught a lot of passes. Antonio Brown caught a ton of passes. If you're not going to give extra passes to Vance McDonald and you no longer have Antonio Brown, you can't expect Juju to wind up with 250 targets. That's just not going to happen. So where are those targets going to go? What you're really saying is if you don't think Vance McDonald is going to have an increase in his production, then we should be all over Dante Moncrief because somebody has to catch those passes.
That's true. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, Benny. I'm on the FanDuel Sportsbook looking at tomorrow night's game, Florida and Miami, playing out there in Orlando. So I don't have a lean either way right now on the point total. It's sitting at 47. I do like Florida minus the 7. If you can buy it down to 6.5, I like it even better. I don't see where you can do that on FanDuel yet. They'll probably give you that option tomorrow. The first half at -4, I like that. I like Florida to come out and get them. So I like the first half, Florida -4. Now, Miami running back DJ Dallas. They have a prop for him of 85.5 rushing yards. I would take the over on that right there. DJ Dallas is a young man who can really play football, and he should have a good game tomorrow. As far as the team totals go, am I missing the team totals, Benny? I think I'm missing the team. They don't have team totals up.
Well, what did you say the spread was? It's 47 is the over-under and the spread 7?
Yeah.
So it would be 27 Florida, 20 Miami.
Yeah, right. So the team total will probably come in at 27. I would take the over on the 27 for Florida.
Yeah, here's the way that I think this game's going to go, Corey. The only chance Miami has, like you said, is to keep the ball on the ground. Because if they can keep it on the ground and make this like a, 21-17 kind of game, then they can stay in it and then hopefully make a play late and wind up winning. But if Florida catches the lead at any point in this game and Miami has to rely on the passing game, it's going to get ugly. Florida's defense is going to put pressure on them. They're going to create some turnovers. This game could go from 14-7 to 28-7 in the blink of an eye. So for me, I guess I would be more on the Florida over. I don't really like Miami. I would have taken the Miami under at 20, if it's 21 or something, I would take the Miami under. The problem I have with betting the over-under in this game, though, is I don't think it's out of the question that Florida could put up 35 points by themselves.
Yeah. No, well, you got to think that Miami can be able to get on the scoreboard, at least get you 20 points. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's what they're projecting. You know what I mean? Mm. But Miami's quarterback play, we don't know what it's going to be yet, which is very interesting. Manny Diaz is a great coach, turnover chain. You know that the Miami Hurricanes have talent all over the field, but at the main position, they don't have no talent. And that makes it difficult right there.
Which is crazy to me.
Florida first half, Benny, is 13.5, and you're getting it at -105.
Would you say the over is 13.5 for the first half?
First half, no. First half, team total For the Gators, it's 13.5 at -105.
2 touchdowns? I like that.
I like that. I like it a lot.
This is the NFL, man. In college, they score touchdowns.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they score touchdowns pretty easily. So I like that over. I'm actually going to write that one down. Over Florida, 13.5. I'm drafting.
First half away team.
On FanDuel, that is, right?
Yeah, on FanDuel.
Now, is there juice on it? What was it?
-105.
That's not bad. I mean, I'll pay the nickel for that. That's not bad.
That's terrific right there.
Yeah.
So that's for the Bulldogs. I mean, that's for the Gators, excuse me. And then for the Hurricanes, it's 9.5 at -105. Also, like you said, we don't know what that offense is going to be yet. You can break this down to halves, quarters, whatever. The first quarter point spread is 2.5. Florida's laying 2.5 in the first quarter.
I would take that too. You figure Florida's going to be ahead this entire
game. You know what I'm saying?
I would go across the board. Anything with Florida ahead is something that I would be interested in. Here's the problem that I have, though, Corey. How the hell can you not get a quarterback to go down to Miami? Like one of these kids from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Ohio just churn out like quarterbacks left and right. You can't get one of these kids to be like, yo, you're a good-looking kid. You come down to Miami. You're going to be the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. You're going to have your pick of any one of these girls here on the beach. Like, how could you not get a quarterback to go down there? I would think that would be easy.
They're not recruiting them. That's what it is. The last name quarterback they had was like Ja'Cory Harris, who was a complete, you know what I'm saying, bust. A good dude. Who was a complete bust when it came. He's supposed to be the next Michael Vick. And they haven't really had a promising quarterback prospect since then. They don't recruit them. Like, I was talking last night with this Nick Chubb thing, right? And, you know, I got to do a piece on Nick Chubb today. And basically, the Georgia Bulldogs they don't just get these dudes in the system and coach them up. Like, Nick Chubb was a top recruit at running back. Like, Sony Michel was a top recruit at running back. Like, they went and they go and they get the good running backs. Miami don't go get the good quarterbacks. They try to get a quarterback and coach him up, which is not successful for them.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I don't understand, right? Like, one of the things that the Florida schools, every Florida school pretty much has in spades is athletes, right?
Yep.
And athletes can play wide receiver. They can play running back. So you have skill position players around you. If I'm a quarterback, why would I not want to go where there are elite skill position players? You're going to give me a bunch of 6'3", 6'4" guys that are 190 to 200 pounds and run 4.3 40s? I would love to be the quarterback in that situation. Like, it just makes your life easier. So I don't understand how that doesn't, because, again, Miami's throwing running backs into the NFL left and right and wide receivers into the NFL left and right. You would think that a quarterback would go down there and just be like, man, with all these weapons, how hard can my job possibly be?
Crazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. They're not figuring it out. The late game tomorrow is Arizona and Hawaii. That'll be played in Hawaii. What I do know is these two teams can score like nothing. Hawaii is catching 11 at home, so they're going to be bet on heavily tomorrow night. Or what I'll say is I'm not going to touch the point spread on this one, but what I will do is I will go with the over. The total is sitting at 74, Benny, and I'm taking the over.
Hey, the way those Hawaii games go, I don't think it's crazy. Hawaii is actually one of the most bet-on college football teams in the country.
I wonder why.
I shouldn't say that. The Hawaii game is one of the most bet-on games for college football every year in the country because it's always the last one. So that's whether you had a big that's people your last shot to come back. You know what I'm saying? Whether you had a big day and you're trying to make it a huge day, or whether you had a crappy day and you're trying to break even. It seems like everybody bets on the Hawaii game, and the numbers have kind of showed it over the years, which I always found kind of funny.
No, let me tell you something. You see somebody get on tilt on a Saturday on college football, it's that Hawaii game, and you know what's after that Hawaii? It's that Hawaii game that they go to, and they go to the UFC. You know what I'm saying? They be like, well, let's see what's going on in the UFC.
Yeah,
of course, our boy Mad Lab will get you off tilt if you go to Elite Sports Betting and get his stuff, because we do got some UFC tomorrow night, right, Benny?
Do you know what? I didn't look yet. I usually take a look on Saturday because Saturday is the one day I'm not writing anything for baseball. So in the morning, I usually spend my morning looking over Mad Lab's article and listening to it. The big UFC thing was last week, so I'm assuming they have one this week, but it might not be the greatest card. You're probably not going to have a lot of the big name fighters out on there, but
I don't even see nothing on here. The next fight I see is on 8/31 with Jessica
next weekend.
Yeah.
Andrade. The Andrade fight? Yeah. Yeah, that should be a good one. Like I said, I don't even know if there is this weekend. I know there is soccer. I know Duke had a bunch of soccer stuff coming out already. He's been doing well hitting, not only hitting on the bets, but also hitting on the daily fantasy side. He won me a bunch of money last week, so I was pretty happy about that. So shout out to our boy Duke who does the soccer stuff.
Shout out to my man Duke. So there you go right there. Benny, you got any baseball plays before we get out of here for the weekend?
I only made one yesterday. We hit on the money line parlay yesterday with the Braves and the Nationals. So the Braves scoring in the bottom of the ninth inning of a 2-2 game with the goddamn Marlins. But I'm going to kind of go back to that well today. We reached the point in the season, Corey, where I'm trying to bet on teams that have something to play for and when they have some of their better pitchers on the mound. So the Mets are minus 180 tonight with Jacob deGrom. The Astros are like minus 300 tonight with Zach Greinke on the board. You parlay the Astros and the Mets together, you get plus money on it, like plus 104, plus 105, depending on where the odds are right now. So Astros Mets money line parlay is the only thing that I threw in for baseball so far, and it's up on the betting site.
All right, big piece of chicken goes to Atlanta Braves for getting that parlay to come through last night. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else, also wanted to give the big piece of chicken to Daniel Jones as he's looking pretty good in his early in his career and kind of blocking out the noise. You know what I'm saying? One thing I like about him is here's the thing. I don't like nothing about him. He's a Giants quarterback. But he doesn't have any expectations, and he's playing like that. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, for me, it's got to go to our boy J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I mean, when you put up 8 for 109 and a touchdown, I don't care if it's the preseason or not. You get a big piece of chicken. Anybody who played him in DFS last night, you won your preseason DFS games. I did not, so I basically min cash because I still had a couple guys that were pretty good. So shout out to Tyler over there for putting together another pretty good article and helping me make a little bit of money. But if you didn't have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside last night, you did not cash in DFS. 8 for 109 and a touchdown, that's a big piece of chicken.
That is a big piece of chicken. Is there a college football slate, DFS college football slate for tomorrow, Benny?
I didn't look because I don't usually play it, but my guess is that there is. And now we're actually allowed to have college football again. They weren't originally.
Too.
Yeah, but when they came down with the sports betting thing, one of the things that people didn't realize was like kind of like an offshoot of that. When they allowed the sports betting thing, they basically also allowed college football because that was the thing that was holding us back from having college football. So college football, college basketball, DFS are going to be back on the agenda now going forward for the rest of the year.
So Ethan just popped past the screen.
Yeah, that was the older one. That was Colin.
My bad.
He wants to go in the pool, so he's been waiting for me. I told him when we were done he can go in the pool.
Well, we are done. Take him in the pool, Benny, and run upstairs to see what's going on around here. Open the line. We out. Be back next week. Holla.